Hi, everybody. Welcome to podcast number 3 of my new podcast. I'm very happy to have you back here. Today with me is Erick Pastor. He's co-founder of the startup CAMCODE here in Latvia and also CEO of the startup. He's originally from Ecuador and studied industrial design, I think, in Ecuador. And then here in Latvia, you studied innovation and entrepreneurship. Welcome to the podcast. Maybe tell a little bit about yourself, how you started the business, how you ended up in Latvia, and so on.
Okay, hello, Matthias. Thank you for the invitation. Glad to be here and put into history some thoughts about what we are doing. Yes, I have a background in design in different two areas. Part of it, the industrial design, and the other one is brand and general design. So it's a quite interesting topic. Here in Latvia, I studied my business degree in innovation and entrepreneurship. I came here because of that, and I thought it was a good opportunity to explore what the Baltic has to offer, and at the same time, I like the program of this university, so this was of the one of the main reasons to choose. Besides the geographical position, learning about the culture, the entrepreneurial ecosystem, and in Eastern Europe there is a fascinating broad spectrum of opportunities for entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm. And I think also Latvia has a little bit put itself on its banner that it will be the capital of DeepTech entrepreneurship and DeepTech commercializations, and that's actually what you're doing. So maybe you can tell a little bit like what you're doing at CAMCODE, how that came to be, and so on, just in general.
Well, yes, I co-founded with scientists from Moscow, Russia, a startup here in the area of material science and chemistry. The technology it's a method of synthesizing particles that work as markers for materials. What this means is that imagine that you have a type of particle that you can embed in different materials and works as a product identification and anti-counterfeit method.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I assume as it is like as a university commercialization, I mean we
as a spin-off, yes.
Yeah, it's basically a spin-off.
It's a technology that comes from a university, from Skolkovo Institute of Science and Technology, but we are based in Latvia.
But then the question is, I think what also the listeners or the watchers could interest is in commercialization, you often have the problem, at least out of my experience, that you have a product or you have a solution, but you don't have a problem often, right? So you have something that you understand that there is commercial value in it, but you not yet understand what exactly is the best application for it to have that commercial value. So how this is out of your view, how you deal with this, what is your approach towards
this? This is what we're doing right now. In the table, there are different interpretations and meanings to deep tech. What is deep tech and so on. I think it's a new term that is becoming a trend in the last years. However, how I classify it is new discoveries, inventions, or methods based on science advancements that can have a potential application in the market, especially in industrial business to business, and also in other cases in business to consumers for the regular market. The challenge is to identify what problem is this technology solving. You can discover a new material, but this new material probably it will take some years until it finds an industry fit. And this is the case of our side. We discover a way of a method to synthesize some particles, and one of the applications right now that we are analyzing is in the product authentication and anti-counterfeit. However, most of the technologies and the startups in these fields, science, chemistry, physics, even computer science, they required interaction with the industry to understand if this makes sense. For any entrepreneur, the idea is to solve a problem that is worth solving.
Yeah.
That it would have some benefit for society, for the companies involved, and the planet. So you can have an invention, but if it's not solving something crucial, then probably it's better to go to another place.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's about making money, right? And making money is about bringing value to people. That's the only way. How?
Yeah, it's not only making money. I mean, I think that making money is the result of solving a problem that helps human. We live in a human society, and basically all the jobs, interactions, and activities of human beings have a repercussion, require some jobs, require some resources, and so on. So the idea is to solve problems for humans, and what kind of activities then is when we can classify all the different industries that we have in the market.
Yeah, but I think it's when you look like classically at founding a company, usually what you imagine as a let's say as the course of a founder, or how the founder comes to an idea, is usually they see a problem somewhere, and then they basically try to find a solution for the problem. The problem, what I see in many deep tech situations, is that it's actually the other way around, right? It's like you have a solution, you have a solution for something, but you don't know really for what actually that solution is. You have to find the problem that you want to solve with that, and there's a lot of challenges, I assume.
Well, I think that there's an assumption of a solution. It's a hypothesis that needs to be verified. Yeah. Probably because what the scientist is doing in the lab, or not necessarily is a reflection of what is happening in the market, or what the consumers or customers or the industry needs. Yeah. However, there are a lot of programs that work on connecting the industry with research institute, laboratories, universities, and so on, in order to tell the scientists and the inventors, hey, this is what we need to solve our problems in the industry. So I think that is the best way to accelerate an invention or a process for a new product. There are cases that is one of like ours, when we have a technology, for example, aerosol spray pyrolysis, that convert a liquid solution into a solid solution in the form of particles. This method have different applications. You can synthesize different type of particles for different uses. However, we have one particular use now, and we are working in the reverse order. What we can do with this method besides what we are currently doing, in order to have a extended portfolio of solutions. But when I say solution, is that, of course, this requires understanding problems in the market. And I think it's that the crucial. That's why an entrepreneur is better if has a background in science, but it's not a requirement. An entrepreneur needs to have several skills. And the most important is, I think, is flexibility to understand what is the science doing and what is the market required.
So it's basically like a translator. I mean, that's in the end what it is, right? You have on the one hand side the scientists who do their scientific things, who have their ideas, who have their experiences, and on the other side you have the market, and usually they don't fit, right? There is, it's not fitting perfectly.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to say it is a double two ways science market translation. Yes.
Yes.
Unless in the initial stage that is product market fit.
Yeah.
And I like to say technology market fit or technology industry fit, because when the product is ready, there's a lot of steps to go there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just that the technology fits. I mean, there's a lot of other questions, as like a financial feasibility. Is it?
Of course, correct.
Does it fit to the market? So I think there's a lot of questions which are not easily answered by just the technology, and then it's hard for somebody who's deep in the technology maybe to
the fitting the word fit involves a lot of other things. Yes. Fit involves that processes fit, economically fitness, if it's cost effective, reduces increment of what's happening or helping the company. Yes, I think fit is there's a lot of things involved inside that word.
But this means also that I know that you do this a lot, and I see also why this is necessary, but maybe we can talk also a little bit about that. I think one crucial point here is then basically market analysis, right? Because you have all of these markets. Basically, you have like unlimited possibilities to place a product, because you could do most probably a lot with it. So somehow you have to figure out like what is the best place to enter in. I mean, you cannot try everything, right? It's not possible. So how you go about this? Like, how do you decide which is like a reasonable market, and what's your process?
Well, first is understanding what I have in my hands. It means what is the type of technology that I have, how it works, what is the process, what is the elements involved in this technology, and I think it's a double funnel. One that you go from bottom to top. It means understanding what you have, and then you see what are the different elements on top of this, in which industry is, which are the key players there, what is happening there. And when you go from this to understanding the whole picture of how these technologies work in the market, then you go again, you narrow it down, understanding the dynamics of these processes. With processes, I mean industries have different variables to work, to produce, and to deliver products and solutions to their customers. This is something that in a market research, first is the most important thing is to understand what is the term market per se, is what is this transaction of problem solving elements there. These guys are delivering something and these guys are purchasing something. And you can have a small market, and you can have a huge market. A small market don't necessarily mean that it's not profitable. It depends of the goals of any company. If you want to be a 1,000 million, 1,100 million company, billion company, trillion company, depending on how deep your solution and how many users or customers is delivering. Some good companies, they have less than 10 clients and they can work perfectly for years because this is what their solution is able to deliver. While we can see in software and other related technologies that the idea is massive delivery of solutions, where the impact is seen on huge numbers, and little variations can affect the long term, but allows you to see the overall picture of a product, how it's developed. I think there is a huge difference between digital technologies and traditional technologies.
Yeah, I fully agree with this, and I think there's also like aspect of this where I mean, you said just there's companies who do perfectly fine with just like 10 customers or something, with a small amount of customers. And I think there's also a question of competition, right? Because you might have a market where you have like thousands of other of potential customers or millions of potential customers, but then there might be other solutions on the market which directly compete with yours. So how do you define like how do you go about like defining who's your competitor? What are because I think it's not so straightforward in your case, right? Because competitors could be all different kind of in counterfeiting. There are like lots of different technologies which could be used for anti-counterfeiting. So, and I mean, you could just glue a label on something, which is most probably much cheaper than using your technology. But then it's a question that has downsides. So how you go about like finding out what are the specific upsides and downsides of your solution versus whatever else is in the market?
Well, yeah, in the case of our technology, the CAMCODE, that is an identification particle. Yeah. What we do here is first understanding how is applied and how this technology works on our product of material. Different materials, if you want to identify a product, there are different ways to do it. You can use, I classify in these three types of identification markers technologies, tertiary, secondary, and primary. What I mean with this is that whatever you put on the product on the surface, this is a tertiary tagant. This could be a QR code on a sticker. You can print something on the surface. You can add a label. You can put the hologram. You can whatever you put on the surface when the product is ready. This is really useful. In logistics, it's used a lot for doing the serialization tracking and positioning of product in the supply chain. However, it has some restriction. If the label is damaged, then you don't know what happened with that. Then you have secondary tagans, that is something that you add on, sorry, it's something that modifies the surface. For example, if you punch a pattern on the surface, or you add special coating, or you add like a type of package that is covering the surface as a packaging, but it's part of the product. This is something that happens a lot. You can also have surfaces with the special physical properties that they react to UV, or they have magnetic properties, or you can add even botanical DNA on the surface that has some level of serialization, authentication in that sense. And then you have primary tagans that are, it becomes part of the material. So it means it doesn't matter what happened on the surface, you have a unique signature in your product. This doesn't work in all the supply chains or manufacturing chains or value chains. This is so super. It has a level of complexity that requires to be analyzed. For us, the most interesting thing has been to know where the other competitors are being used, how are they used by the user, and how the consumer interact with them in their normal workflow. So with that, you can extrapolate the other variables that you need for understanding your own technology. And then you can see in what things you are strong, in which one are you weak, which are your strong value proposition, and move ahead with your project.
That's actually very interesting, because I think this is like, in your specific case, of course, this is interesting, but also in a general case, because that means by analyzing the use of the potential product, you can actually identify if somebody is a competitor or not, and you might be actually surprised. I mean, I have also went through that, that you have an assumption that somebody is a competitor with you, but then you analyze the processes of how the customer interacts with them or your potential customer, and then you realize actually they're not a competitor because they're used in completely other way than your product would be used, right?
That's super important, because you can and we are in the other stage. We have overcome that stage to classify the technologies in the market and which one are really our competitor or not. Well, you can also have replacement technologies, or you are offering a solution, but something else is not offering the same, but is a good replacement for your solution. That with some tweaks or modifications can do more or less what you are looking. I think that other approach to understand customer needs is to see it from jobs to be done theory or jobs theory. Mm-hmm. In jobs theory, the idea is that you understand what is the job that has to be realized, and from that point you go back to understand. Let's make this is an example teaching Harvard Business School, where someone is trying to sell a drill, but probably you hear this example, but what the customer is not doesn't need the drill tool. What the customer wants is to make the hole, put the screw, so he can put or use the hole for whatever he wants to do. So the job to be done is making the hole. But for making the hole, you could have different tools. You can use a hammer with a nail or a screwdriver or whatever. So understanding the job that is required, it's the key. And from that point, you go back to the developing a technology.
Yeah, so surprising. It's actually in IT where I'm active. It's often you have always this expectation. Who are your competitors? But when you actually talk with the people, you see that pen and paper is often your worst competitor, which you don't think about it in the beginning because you're so focused on your like comparing technologies with others. And I think this is in many markets. It's actually like that.
And you have different type of deep tech startups approaches. One, if you want to really compete if you want to be a global player. If you want to be a global player, it means that the current technology that you have now, in 5 years, is not going to be the same. And probably you will need other technologies in your portfolio in order to be able to compete or to be a dominant player on the industry. That means that the only technology that you have, most probably, is not the only one you need. So I recommend that everyone needs to think about what other technologies should be part of my portfolio to offer a full product service offer. This is something important. I recommend this book, 10 Types of Innovation. I use it every month to just figure it out, what part I'm missing or if something is not aligned. It shows you that you have different types of innovations. You can be product, you can be service, you can be about financing, you can be about technology development. There are different innovation processes that can be improved, and probably you fit more in one area than others, but this is enough to have a sustainable process. And currently, you can decide that if you want to become a global player. If not, then you have other options. You can try to be a supplier of a global player. You can license your technology, or you can have a niche that makes you comfortable and your investors.
Or being bought by the global player.
Yeah, correct, yes.
I mean, that's how often it ends, right?
Yeah, some people we can get romantic. Some people doesn't want to have an exit. They want to work in their companies. Other people want to exit as fast as they can. So it depends of the purposes of creating a technology and solution.
But that also means, I think, what you basically imply with this is being flexible, right? Because well, by adding new technologies, first of all, you admit that your technology is maybe not the best thing since sliced bread, which as a young startup, most likely it's not. So I think we should be very honest that when you're just started your startup, most probably your solution that you have now is not the solution that you will require to start the market. But additionally, you also sometimes means that you maybe have to step back, right? And just look at the broader picture and say like, okay, wait, like we're doing this thing, I'm sitting here every day and you know, like grinding, but maybe I should do something else. And I think this is like this flexibility, right? This is what.
Correct. I call it startup plasticity.
That's a good word. Yeah, that's a very good word.
Startup plasticity is that you need to be as flexible as you can to try to pivot if what you are aiming actually it's just a wall. With a wall, I mean that there is no one needing your solution. And we have faced that in this. We have our approach for obtaining industry market fit. We segmented different industries, and we are moving from industry to industry, discovering their requirements, their processes, their needs, and seeing which one we are fitting and we are not fitting. This is, I think, this is a super interesting process to discover your startup capabilities. And if you are able to deliver something of value,
then my question is, because I have made also some good experience with this, but also there is some caution that you have to have, because especially as DeepTech, because there are so many options, right? Like, how do you see it? Like, how you decide when to pivot? Because if you have so many options, it's like, you know, there's also the risk that you start to pivot all the time, right? You run into a roadblock in that one place, and then you say like, but the grass is greener here, so I go there, and then there comes a roadblock, and you start to just jump around between the things because you cannot set yourself in one direction. How you solve that?
I think from the different experiences I have done in my life until now, and I hope we will have a lot more, is to understanding to whom you are solving this. For example, let's make that someone needs to rise. Another example. Someone needs to communicate with you in the middle of the jungle, and you are now in your house. So the need for them is communication, transmit a message for you to them. There are different approaches. If you can deliver a paper note, put in the post office, then it will get to you, or then and you will answer. This is a process. The other one is go to a phone call station, rent the call and send you. The other ones have a cell phone if the signal is available. But then they understand how are you solving this problem? Is speed the key component? Is the quality of the sound? Is quality of the message? I think that understanding the main requirement, the main job is what we have to do. In essence, all the products and the services that we are creating, they are being hired by the customer. When I've been hired, if you buy a TV, the concept of hiring, it means that at some point you will hire another TV, or you will acquire another TV, because this one is not solving or satisfying your current needs or your future needs. So in that sense, I think that for us as entrepreneurs, pivoting requires getting back to the initial plan or initial goal. We are solving this problem, and this problem has these different shapes and sizes. And going back to when I was talking about verticals, going to them all at the same time is impossible. Yeah. And it can get diffused. Better is to have a plan of approaching industries. I will go first with this because has this attractive conditions for our technology or for the problem we are solving. And then you can, if you don't find any fit here, then you go to the next one, and then you go to the next one. And then in the process, you will be calibrating, updating your product.
Mm. Okay, that's actually interesting. So basically, the market research you use to have like an initial understanding of the markets. So to understand like what are your priorities, right? Because you want, of course, to try the most the best looking market the first, and then basically you have your market analysis, which tells you which market look good for you, and then you basically go them step by step and basically test them, ping them, and see what's happening. And then if that's not good, you basically jump to the next one. That's
well, we can put it like, first is the value of your proposition.
Mm-hmm.
And then you explore your market. You can create the user personas. This is a type of conceptualizing your potential customer or your ideal customer. Mm-hmm. And all, then if this solution exists, then it's understanding your competition. And if you have if you are exploring the market, you understand your users or customers, and you understand the competition, then you can calculate the full market potential.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's very clear now, I think, and I think there's a lot of value in that, understanding that. I think it's sometimes not so straightforward to understand it when you start a company. So that's why.
Well, but I think I was getting a lot of a bit theoretical about this.
But I think there's a lot of value for the listeners in that, because they might not have the same problem as you have, but still can extract here some really good knowledge. So I think this was a perfect place to end the discussion, actually. So
yeah, the ideal is if you want to become an entrepreneur in science, is first understand what kind of problem you want to solve, and if there is a market for that, and if your technology has the potential of incremental innovation.
Yeah. Perfect ending. Thank you, Eric. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Matthias.
And yeah, I hope to see you soon on the channel again. And I wish you best of luck with CAMCODE and all of the other things you have planned.
The same for you.
Okay, thanks, Eric.
Ciao, ciao. Bye.